Hey everyone, welcome to the results live stream for the 2025 Title Sequence contest. Sorry I'm a bit late, I got a phone call, but I'm here now. Hope you're all having a good day. Hope I set up everything correctly, it was all a bit last minute. Alright, let me hear you in the chat, how you're all doing. Are you excited for the results? Anyway, here in the background you can see the title sequence from last year. It was made with all the parks that were sent in. And this year I will be the one who makes the title sequence with all the parks that you guys submitted. And thanks a lot 73 for the generous donation. Really appreciate it. Anyway, yeah, we got 17 parks for this contest. I will show all of them in this video and I will tell you their score. I'll start with the one that got the lowest score, and I'll finish by announcing who's the winner of this contest. Now, and just for the people who don't know, the title sequence will just be made with the parks that had some of the best scenes. So if you get a good score, it doesn't automatically mean you get into the title sequence, but of course it does make your chances a lot bigger. Alright, let's start with the entry that got 17th place. In 17th place, we have the entry from Darling Wolf. And Darling Wolf got a score of 6.22 from the voters. Now you can see the park from Darling Wolf. I believe it's his first time entering a contest like this. No, I think he actually made some pretty nice coasters. Especially this dueling LSM launch coaster. I think it's really nice. These trains, I think they duel together really nicely. It's obviously inspired by Stardust Racers at the new Epic Universe Park. I think this is really nicely done. Also lots of other different coasters in the park. Max Arceus asked when will you make the title sequence, or if you already made it. I haven't made it yet, and I will make it at some time after this these contest results. Probably the next few weeks. But yeah, quite a few coasters. The coasters are a bit yeah, long. Also, I think it may be a little bit overkill to have 3 of these LSM launch coasters so close to each other. Maybe it would be nice to have a different type here. Or, for example, a flying coaster or something like that. But yeah, still, I think there's some really nice rides in this park. Also for the parking lot, when you see a parking lot in a theme park, just a little tip. Usually, close to the entrance, there you will see most of the cars, and then maybe a little bit more empty spaces further out. Well, just a nitpick. I think overall this is a pretty nice park, especially for a first time entry. Alright, then let's go check out who got 16th place. In 16th place, with a score of 6.31, we have ATN. So ATN actually chose the scenario Thunder Rocks, which is also the scenario we have going on my free-for-all server at the moment. Yeah, it's pretty nice and dense. Yeah, I think this is a pretty fun scenario actually. There's this vertical drop coaster which guests can use to get to the other side. And it looks like this coaster is still intact here. But yeah, there's some nice coasters on this in this entry. It is pretty dense, so a high density of rides everywhere. And I think if you want to have a nice title sequence, maybe the ride should be spaced out a little bit more. At least that's just what my preference maybe. Now there are some fun elements here. I quite like this section here in the middle with the water. There's actually a guest walking around here underwater. I think that's pretty cool. Here's a fun fact: if you make a path underwater like this and you have a mechanic walking around on it, if the mechanic gets a call while he's underwater, he will briefly be put into the falling state and then he will drown. So if you have underwater paths in a park, maybe you should have some spare mechanics. But yeah, some pretty cool rides. I'll see a wooden coaster down here. Some interesting design for the roof. Did he use that trick here? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, he actually used a trick here with double land surfaces. Pretty interesting way to make a decoration here for the coaster. Also, yeah, it's called Thunder Rocks, so it's also a thunder. Nice little detail. Yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty cool park. Alright, then we go to the entry that got 15th place. So in 15th place with a score of 6.37, we have Alex Forrest. This is also a name that I haven't seen in one of my contests before, so another first time entrant. So, yeah, here's the entrance of the park. Lots of gardens, little fountains. I quite like this section here, actually. That's pretty nicely done. Also have a little food court over here. I think it's quite a nice plaza. Now we also have a go-kart here with the new the track elements. Oh, I see in the comments someone says Rotting Heights. Is this actually a Rotting Heights scenario? Or oh, it's Blooming Heights. Maybe it's a play on the Rotting Heights scenario. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's some fun rides in the park here. You can see this vertical drop coaster. Now, in the beginning, in the first entry that this person submitted, there was actually a corkscrew in this coaster, but the vehicles don't really have sprites for corkscrews, so it looked a little bit weird. I'm glad they got rid of it. Although there are still some of these 0G rolls. Well, usually in one of my own parks, I would probably just put it there. Not really sure if this is something you want to display in a title sequence, since it looks a little quite glitchy. But just once again, just a nitpick. The go-karts indeed look really nice. There's quite a lot of nice foliage here. Also a car ride. Again, very dense. I do like this little scene with the car ride here. There's also this LSM launch coaster here. Not really sure if I really like the colors. It's very dark olive green. I think some brighter colors would have maybe suited the park better. Especially also with this really bright freefall tower next to it. Right, here's another coaster, also with a nice color scheme. And then outside the park there's all these trails. Maybe it would have been nice to actually just use the cheat to own all land, so that we could actually also see some guests walk on this trail. But that's just an afterthought. Yeah, overall I think this park has some really nice scenes. Alright, then we go to the entry that got 14th place. And the scores are already getting pretty high. So in 14th place with a score of 7.12, we have the entry from Marcel. Marcel created this entry on stream, I believe. Marcel is also in the chat here. And yeah, I think this is actually quite a big step up from how Marcel usually creates his parks. There's quite a lot more decoration than I'm used from Marcel. I think he did a really nice job. There's quite some nice foliage, but also other decoration in the park. While still yeah, it's still built like how a scenario player would build the park. Which you can see in the log flume here, for example. Yeah, I think it's really nice. It has a nice tropical vibe over here. It's also a nice wooden coaster. Maybe something that Marcel could try next is try and make a nice building around the station. I think that could be something fun to try. Once I started doing that, now I just find it really hard to make coasters without a nice station building. Maybe something to try out. I think it would be the next step up. Of course, you should just keep playing with how you're comfortable. But yeah, I think it just looks like a really nice park. We also have the go-karts, of course, with the new track pieces. We also have LSM Lines coaster here. What I usually recommend people to do when they build a coaster like this, especially for a Giga coaster, I would advise to not use two different colors for the track that contrast a lot. Especially for the Giga coaster, it makes it look very busy. So when you have a coaster like this, well, I think this would already look a bit nicer, or you could use two colors that are a bit closer. That's just something that I generally would advise people. Just a little tip from me. I also think this area is quite fun. I really love this urban section here with the trains going around here in the backyard. Yeah, I think Marcel did a really nice job here in the park. Alright, then let's go check out who got 13th place. In 13th place, with a score of 7.34, we have Mutton Train Freak. Right, here's the entry from Mutton Train Freak. Has some quite big coasters. You can see this massive wooden coaster here in the back. And we also have this LSM Lines coaster here in the front. Quite close to the entrance. I quite like how these trains pass by each other here in this scene. Now over here we have the entrance of the park. Here's an interesting parking lot. I do like that there's cars driving around here. Again, when you have a parking lot in your park, I think it's generally nicer if there's a few more cars parked. And once again, I always like to make it a little bit more dense, close to the entrance. It is always a lot of work to put all these cars here. So, yeah. It's always a bit annoying to do, but I think it definitely pays off if you fill your parking lot nicely. Also, something which I like to do is also have some guests in the cars, but that makes it even more annoying to do. Not guests in the parked cars, of course, but if there's cars driving around. It's just something that I prefer to do. Yeah, quite a big park. This year we had a limit on the number of guests that you could have in the park. The limit was 2,000. Last year we had some massive parks, which also would be quite laggy on computers. And since it on a less powerful computers, I mean, and since the title sequence plays in the background for everyone, that can be quite annoying if your computer isn't very powerful. So I hope the 2,000 guest limit will help for this year's title sequence. All right. I already quickly showed this coaster over here. We also have the go-kart here. I think this is also a quite nice track. It's a nice interaction also here with these paths. We have a single rail coaster, also pretty nice. Also has some of the new elements, I believe. Looks like a dive loop. And of course there's this wooden coaster. I'm not really sure about the colors, but I'm sure a lot of people will also like it. And we also have the train going around here in the back section. Yeah, quite a few different rides in the park. Of course, this year also these new track elements for the boat hire were added. So these also got a nice spot in the park. Yeah, I think Martin did quite a nice job. I believe he was really proud of his park. He said it was the best park he had created so far. Alright, let's go check who got 12th place. So in 12th place, with a score of 7.62, we have Mattam. Now this area of the park still has to be filled out, but that will happen next year. Maybe I think the designs here say it's a welcome to Media Day. Parking lot's coming soon. Nice. Yeah, it's quite a big park. Over here we have the entrance. Actually, the entrance is one of my favorite parts about this park. Oh yeah, you can see this park is huge. We had a 2,000 guest limit. I think Mattam had to delete a lot of guests. It looks like he actually got rid of all the guests in his park. If you look at the history of guests in park, and then he just slowly let it climb up, and then he saved right before it hit the limit. I do have the plugin installed to check the soft guest cap. Oh yeah, the soft guest cap 5,220. Sorry, that's also why most of these coaster vehicles are actually empty. Max Arcia says I have to include this in the title sequence. Well, the thing is, if I want to include this, we can only include half of it. Or 1/3. But yeah, everything is an option. I'm not gonna commit to anything yet. But yeah, there's tons and tons of rides in this park. So I hope this park doesn't lag too badly for people if we include it in the title sequence. But yeah, where do I even start? There's just big coasters everywhere. We have the inverted impulse coaster, there's a flying coaster here, there's a shuttle loop, there's a wooden coaster, there's even a cursed accelerator coaster with lots of steps up. I think we should follow this one. It's quite silly. Sorry, Matt. Oh, let's follow this train. Okay, this one gets launched. Not really sure what this is all about. Well, I do think this structure here is really cool. Not really sure why all those steps are there. But yeah, indeed, like some people are already saying in the chat, this park was made for 5,000 people. So with 2,000 people, it just looks empty. And a lot of the trains are empty as well. So I hope if Matt joins one of these contests again, I hope he can restrain himself a bit next time. I do think there are some really cool coasters in the park. Oh yeah, let's move on to the next one. Alright, then let's go check out which entry got 11th place. 11th place entry also got a score of 7.62, but yeah, it's a little bit higher for the third or fourth digit. So in 11th place, we have the entry from Horror Girl, Infinite Sadness, Oddstarva and Express CS. Alright, here's an overview of the park. Now, I think this entry is a lot more structured. It's nicely divided into different rides, which I think really helps for a title sequence. So if we look here, we can see some really big rides in their separate little sections. Yeah, and some of these rides are just really good. I think we should start with my favorite, which is this dueling wooden coaster. I think this wooden coaster just looks amazing. Station pretty basic, but here we can see these trains leave the station and then they travel all the way up here. And just gonna speed it up a little bit. Yeah, here they race down, and then they meet again at these loops. And yeah, I think this is really cool. This yeah, this may be a scene that I want to include in the title sequence. But of course, we will all see in the end how the title sequence ends up. But I think this is a really cool section. Here is another nice little section. Here we have this river rapids, also pretty nicely decorated. Looks like it's in the candy theme. I also really like this coaster. Here's a nice twister coaster. Some really nice support work done. Some nice inversions. Also, this looks like an Asian style station. Also pretty nicely done. And here's a little go-kart track, also with the new diagonal track pieces. And here's another coaster that I really liked. So this is a LSM launch coaster, also with some of the new inversions, of course. And yeah, I just really like how this is decorated. The foliage here especially, I think it looks really nice. So some good support work here. Yeah, I think this is a really nicely done coaster. It's a good pacing. Yeah. So this is quite fun. Here you can see this Star Flyer ride. I always like when people make them this way. I also like this decoration here on the edge. It looks like these river rafts with only the top part of the raft visible. Yeah, I think this park definitely has some really nice scenes in it. Really well done. Alright, then we get to the top 10. So in 10th place, with a score of 7.73, we have the entry from Sophie Park. Or I probably butchered the name. But yeah, I actually gave this park 10, I believe, or a 9, or I don't even remember what I gave it. I was a really big fan of this park. Now, from what I heard, this park was actually made in Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic. So it doesn't actually show off any of the new things that were added in OpenRCT2 in the last releases. However, yeah, I think this just looks amazing, and yeah, this creator just makes it creating awesome stuff look really easy. Now, my favorite part of the park is actually this dueling dragons kind of ride. It's a dueling inverted coaster. It just has such good interaction. I love where they meet here in these loops. Also these corkscrews. This is yeah, this is definitely a scene that I want to include in the title sequence. This is just so good. I just love this pair of coasters. Now, there's also some other really good looking areas in the park. I just love this vertical drop coaster. So, yeah, the scenery is pretty basic in this park, but it's just done in such a nice way. Now, here's another really cool looking coaster. Yeah, this is a Giga coaster, because that's what you have available in a Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic, of course. But yeah, this is just a super nice coaster once again. Also really nicely decorated. Because this castle building just looks so nice. Also, this park was built without cheats, which makes it all the more impressive what was all built here. Here's another beautiful coaster. Just a super nice layout. So I think the colors work here really well. Yeah, as you can probably already tell, I'm just a really big fan of this park. I just think it looks incredible. So I wish it would have scored a bit higher. But yeah, I think we will definitely see some scenes from this park in the title sequence. Alright, then let's go check out who got 9th place. In 9th place, with a score of 7.76, we have a newcomer, Black Sheep. Now, yeah, if you zoom out in the park, this overview, I think this just looks super nice. I love these outskirts here with these solar panels and windmills. Also love how this coaster just takes part of this area and it's just surrounded by these solar panels. And also these flower beds here. Well, this looks a bit with these straight edges. I think it could have been a little bit more curved, but still, I think this is just a really nice way to just fill out areas of your park. And yeah, especially when zoomed out, this just looks super nice. Yeah, really well done, Black Sheep. Also a parking lot filled with cars, which is always nice to see. Now, if you want a nitpick, maybe the space between these rows is a bit much. Normally in parks, the space between rows, yeah, probably one path tile would have been enough. Again, just a nitpick. I do like that you can see the parking spots near the entrance more filled than the ones further from the entrance. Now here we have a really cool looking wooden coaster. What I would advise is to when you build a coaster, well, for example, this coaster almost only has right hand turns. I believe this is the only left hand turn over here. So when you make a coaster like this, it's probably a good idea to have a turnaround somewhere, so it also does a few turns the other direction. At least that's if you want your coaster to look a bit realistic. Just some general advice. But I do think this looks really cool. Here we also have a really nice coaster. This is just LSM launch coaster track and vehicles. I really like these supports over here. That just looks super cool. And yeah, I think this coaster is just framed really nicely here. Now, of course, we also have the go-kart track here with the new track pieces. Here's a nice little catapult or slingshot ride. Here we have a big hyper coaster. And yeah, I think this park looks really nice. Something which maybe could be improved is the transfer tracks. First, it does take a little bit of research if you want to do it nicely, but I do think it's good that there is actually some transfer tracks in this park. That generally is a nice thing to have on your coasters. You will always see these on real coasters when they have multiple vehicles. But yeah, I was really impressed with this entry from Black Sheep, and I hope to see him in more contests. This is just a really fun park. Okay, let me take a sip of water. All right, then let's check out the entry that got 8th place. It looks like we already have a score over 8. So in 8th place, we have the entry from Carr Bunner, and he got a score of 8.01. Let's zoom out first. Yeah, I think Carr Bunner made a really nice looking entry. And he also showed some restraint in the number of rides that he put in the park. There's a few coasters. They're quite big. And I think this is actually a good amount of coasters for a park at this size. We also have this beautiful hotel here in the middle of the park. I especially love the way that Carr Bunner did this sign here. This looks so nice, also with the Sphinx here. So the Ferris wheel here. Maybe some spokes for the Ferris wheel would have been nice. I think some people prefer them without spokes. Nice little bridge over here, also with the boat hire with the new track elements. Here we have an LSM launch coaster, also with a triple launch section. I like how it shoots through the Colosseum parts here. We also have one of these, what are they called? Fireballs. I also quite like this theater over here. Oh, this fireworks viewing. Oh, alright. That's also pretty nice. This park had some fun peep scenes in it as well. This one made me laugh. So here's guy says, have a map. This one says, I take long bathroom breaks. Okay. This guy says, I don't even work here. I always love these rules. Larsen loop, of course. Yeah. Someone in the comments remind me of the name of this ride. I completely forgot. But yeah, so I'll call that Larsen loop. But yeah, I have some really cool rides in the park. Also have a nice wooden coaster here. I quite like the colors here, actually. Probably a bit Roman themed. We have some Roman buildings here. Oh yeah, I think this is definitely one of my favorite parks that I've seen from Carr Bunner that he's ever built. It just looks so good. Also have some nice go-karts over here with a disco coaster in between. Yeah, just a wonderful park from Carr Bunner. Really nice to see an entry from him again. Oh, someone asked me to show the road sign. Let me find it. This one? Guest entrance on south side. Ah, over here. We'll turn you upside down. Oh, this is really cool. I like that there's actually guests stuck on this road sign. They're probably not having a good day. No, Jimmy L says he wants to get off XX banner. Well, I'm sorry, Jimmy L, you cannot. Imagine if this was your job. Alright, then we go to the entry that got 7th place. And in 7th place with a score of 8.03. So it's a little bit higher than this one. And there we have the entry from Jack, 140. No, I thought this entry was really cool. So it's on this island. But I believe this island is actually just built on top of a flooded city. Especially in these outskirts, you can see lots of these buildings which have been submerged. I actually really like these sections on the outside of the park. Although for a title sequence, this is probably not really something that we're gonna show off. So there's not too much happening over here. But yeah, the park itself. Yeah, it's very green, which I think is actually quite nice. Lots of water, lots of stuff happening in this park. Yeah, there's some really big coasters in this park, which travel all throughout the entire area. I do think this green coaster is maybe a little bit fast in some areas, especially in this area. It goes through the layout really fast. So maybe that could have been toned down a little bit. Over here we also have a wooden coaster with some interesting colors. Again, I quite like how it travels through this entire area here. Jack also used lots of these green paths as the roofs for this area. Also like how it has all these jumping fountains here on top. That's a nice little touch. I think for a title sequence, well, for example, a scene like this, I think it wouldn't really fit. I think for a title sequence, it may be a little bit too dense in a lot of areas. I think it will be quite difficult to actually fit this in a title sequence. Maybe we can find some areas. But yeah, as a park in itself, I think it just looks awesome. Especially this building over here. It just looks really nice. I love all the different layers to this building. Also how the coaster travels through it. It just looks so awesome. And we have another really cool building. Although it does kind of blend into the background in some points. Maybe this way it looks nicer. Maybe this could be a nice title sequence scene with the coaster traveling to the back here and then reversing. But yeah, I think this is a really cool looking park. Very quite futuristic. I really like this style from Jack 140. Alright, then we have arrived at the entry that got 6th place. And in 6th place, we have the entry from Inero predicting a fault. And he got a score of 8.12. Now let's first zoom out a bit. I think this park looks really cool, especially when you zoom out. This does look a little bit sudden, this shift in ground texture. But other than that, I think it looks awesome. I really like how this river passes through here. Also with the greenery right next to it. But the color scheme of the park, I think it's also pretty cool. Yeah, it is a bit of the same everywhere in the park. Maybe a few rides with a different color. Maybe would have been nice. But still, it at least does make it look very consistent. Now, lots of different rides in the park. Lots of nice coasters. Let's see. Okay, soft gas cap is only 1840. Maybe harder gas generation is turned on. But yeah, there's some really nice coasters also with some beautiful decoration around it. I love how the coaster here travels through this big castle. These walls just look really nice. So with all these gardens in between. Kind of a Babylon vibe. That just looks amazing. So a nice monorail throughout the park. I really like the supports for this monorail. That's awesome. Now we also have this air-powered vertical coaster. That's not how we usually make them in my contests. So this is more how a scenario player would make them. So it's interesting to see a coaster done like this once again. I think for a title sequence, this would actually work pretty well, actually. Also quite like how this river here is done. It's a nice long straight river throughout the park. So a little drop here. Yeah, I really like how this is the central, how this is a central focus in the park, or a central divider. So with all these nice pyramids here. Yeah, for sure, it's pretty imposing, especially when you zoom out. Of course, in the title sequence, we won't zoom out. We will focus on areas of the park. But also here, the decoration here, just wonderful. Also with these mazes here, also a nice touch. yeah, there's just so many cool rides here and nicely decorated areas. There's also an interesting helicopter ride with one traveling forwards and the other backwards. Also, we have a river rafts right here, a wooden coaster. I really like this top spin. Isn't this one of the default color schemes for the top spin? Not actually sure. But yeah, this building around it is just amazing. Yeah, amazing park from Inero predicting, I thought. But now Fanat asks if I'll be using shots where the view is moving. I'm not sure yet. Because when the view is moving, it does sometimes tend to lag a bit. But we'll see. It will, if we use it, it will especially not be in a dense park. Alright, then let's go check out who got 5th place. Alright, in 5th place we have the entry from Kazra. Alright, and Kazra got a score of 8.26, which is quite high. Here you can see an overview of the park. It's a big island, so with a nice bridge leading to it and a harbor. Now, I think the entrance to this park is really nice. Also love this little trail here. Leave some partly invisible wild mouse track was used here. Yeah, looks like it. Nice decoration here for the bridge. This park has lots of nice fountains, by the way. Speaking of nice fountains, here's the entrance for this park. It's a big castle. Here you can see some of these vehicles poking out. And yeah, I think this is a really cool way to do a fountain. Also, I really like these banners here. That's really nice. So definitely a nice way to make an entrance for your park. Again, some more fountains here. Although it does kind of look like there's just some squares blunked down here on this path ocean. Maybe it would have been nice if these shapes were a bit more organic. Again, just a nitpick, but I do think it's pretty cool. Oh, it looks like the guests actually ride some kind of ride over here. Frolicsome fountains. I'm quite curious what these guests are gonna do. I'm just gonna speed it up a bit. Oh. Never mind, it's taking ages. Here we have some of these launched freefalls. Here we have this really cool theater. I believe he copied it from some other park. He forgot who was the one who made it. I believe Leon was the first one to make a theater like this. We've seen it in several parks since, and it just looks so cool. Definitely a nice structure to have in your park, something like this. Globe Theater, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Now, yeah, here we have this floorless coaster with this really nice station. I think this looks awesome, really nicely decorated. And it has quite a few inversions here. Looks quite funky with these dive loop elements. Maybe it could have used a loop maybe around one of these bridges, just to have a few more different types of inversions. Now here we have this really awesome looking, kind of looks like an Arabic town. But yeah, and these buildings, I think they look incredible. I really like the color scheme, but also the shapes of these buildings. So I have a little stadium over here. For these bumper cars on the sand. Well, yeah, here we also have one of these full throttle type rides, kind of like I made in Fantasyland Mega Park. This one also has the brakes over here that gets launched backwards and then over the loop. I think maybe, yeah, it just looks like this ride was just plunked down on the sand here. Maybe to make it a bit more distinct. Something I would have personally done is maybe color it darker under the coaster a bit, just to make it a bit more, stand out a bit more. Just something I would have done. Maybe same for this one. But yeah, still, even without that, I think these coasters, these buildings here all just look really cool. There's also some other weird rides here. Some that I really liked. Here we have this little disco-style coaster with this stand-up vehicle in the water. This is this is a funny little ride. And here's another weird ride that used these. Is this another stand-up train? Oh, twisted trains. Okay. But yeah, fun little shoestring ride. Yeah, and this park definitely has some interesting rides. Oh, this is another part that I really liked. Here's this skull mountain. And with the river rapids, I believe they pop out of the skull here at some point. Ah, here they come. It does look a little bit glitchy. But I think the skull looks really cool. At least I think it's a skull. Or maybe it's Chewbacca. That's also a possibility. But yeah, oh, here's another thing that I quite like. So yeah, here's this building shaped like a whale. I believe these eyes only really work from this angle. It's these octopus stall. The seafood stall. But yeah, I think it's a really cool park, and it definitely has some quite nice scenes, or potential for some nice title sequence scenes. Alright, then we get to 4th place. In 4th place, we have the entry from... There's just 4 entries remaining, by the way. In 4th place, we have the entry from Supraano. And he got a score of 8.30. Now, here we have a parking lot with cars just in random colors. Here's a nice little entrance for the park. Well, nice. I think this building looks really nice. And let's just zoom out a bit. I think when we zoom out, this park looks amazing. I really like the landscaping for this park. This just looks so nice. The park layout is just very nicely done. You have this big plaza over here. When you enter the park, you immediately see this Larsen loop. I know the name of this right now. It's also this nice log flume right next to it. I really like the supports for the log flume. Also how it travels through the landscape. That's quite nicely done. Also some of the dinghy slide track was put under the log flume, which also always looks nice. Now, and then here we have this LSM launch coaster. And yeah, once again, this is a park with just a few coasters, but the coasters that are there are just done in a really nice way. I like that. Oh, I especially love this fountain, by the way. It looks so cool also with the hybrid coaster track in here. And that definitely gives this fountain, yeah, it makes it look like it's shaped like a bowl. I love the way that this fountain is done. But this LSM launch coaster is also really nice. I really like the support work, but also the layout for the ride. So this building looks awesome. I love how we did these pipes. using these gumdrops. That's just really clever. But yeah, really nice layout for the coaster. Also love the colors. Station building also super nice. Yeah, I'm really impressed by Supraano's work. Also, I love this sign here. Your computer ran into a problem. Very recognizable. Oh, my computer doesn't do that. And here also we have a wooden coaster with some really cool support work. That must have taken a while to do. And then here we also have this really cool sign, which is actually made with litter. So yeah, there's a plugin called the litter editor, and you can actually use that to place litter wherever you want. And even when you use it, it probably takes a while to put all these little pieces of litter in place to make a text like this. Yeah, there's actually no footers for this wooden coaster, but yeah, if you just place enough trees next to it, well, I think with supports like these, yes, if you make your supports like these, they're nice and detailed, then it doesn't actually show that much that there are no footers. Actually, it does look like there's some footers over here. So maybe he just made them for a part of the coaster and then gave up. I'm not sure. But yeah, they do always add a nice little touch to a coaster. But yeah, I think this is a really cool looking park. Really nice work from Supraano. Alright, then we get to third place. And in third place, with 8.46 points, we have the entry from Lurker. Now, Lurker made quite a similar park. Not sure if it was last year or the year before that. But yeah, just many islands, and each with their own theme. I think it's done really nicely. So here's a island with the go-kart track, which looks awesome, really nicely decorated. And of course, also one of these LSM lines coasters. Also quite a nice layout. Lurker also usually makes... yeah, he usually colors his rides pretty nicely. So I'm not sure what the theme is of this area, but it's probably a bit Mediterranean. Now here we have a different area, also with a little lighthouse. Here we have monorail cycles, which you also often find in Lurker's parks. Here we have some monster trucks. Yeah, I always really like Lurker's parks. And yeah, I think we'll definitely see some scenes from this park in the title sequence. It's also no tricks that are too complicated. I think also many players who are newcomers will also appreciate a park like this in the title sequence. Because they will definitely see this, and I think I can make that as well. Oh yeah, also a little junior coaster over here with the panda trains. With the log flume. Also like the color of the path here. So the red path was used here for this Asian style area. I think that fits together really well. Also love the colors of the foliage. Here's a little reverser coaster. Coaster type you don't see often actually in people's parks. So I can always appreciate a good reverser coaster. Of course, the bow tire here with the new track pieces. Here we even have a powered coaster. So yeah, quite a lot of rides in this park, which we don't see very often. It's a nice wooden coaster. Yeah, it's just really nicely done from Lurker. I didn't show the single rail coaster in the middle yet. yeah, this is just quite a nice layout as well. Twisted. Yeah, it definitely is twisted. Alright. Yeah, Lurker just once again did an amazing job. He really makes this game look easy. Alright, there's just 2 parks remaining. As is tradition, I will first show both of them, and then only after that I will reveal which one is the winner of this round. So, the first possible winner is the park from Jan the Man 227, Michelle, and TechnoKiwi 91. And they created this beautiful park over here. So once again, almost filled parking lot, which I appreciate. Well, here's the entrance of the park. I really liked this. I really like the sign here at the entrance. This is done in a really nice way. It takes quite some fiddling to actually get your signs to look nice when you do something like this. I believe these are 3 signs stacked on top of each other with the background in the invisible color. And yeah, that's quite finicky to do. So I think they did a really good job on it. Oh yeah, also a little peep scene over here. Then here's the actual entrance of the park. And then already here we have this beautiful corkscrew coaster. Some nice support work over here. Also I love how these corkscrews here are framed in these supports with this hybrid coaster track. Solar panels, I guess. Yeah, I agree. This would definitely make for a nice opening shot. With the sheriffs. Okay, yeah, here we have a nice twister coaster. Also has the large corkscrews. I'm really glad these were added to the twister coaster. Also have a 0G roll here, I believe. And a dive loop. Yeah, I think it was. I think it's great that that new fallback sprites were added for some of these trains, like the twister coaster, so they can go through some of these new inversions pretty smoothly. That's really cool. Now here we have some more rides. Here's a little stunt show. Once again, we see one of these litter signs here. Little play area. Here, once again, we have these go-karts with some of the new track elements. These will also be good to show off in the title sequence. Another Larsen looper. Oh yeah, and here we have another eye catcher. So this dueling LSM launch coaster. My computer is getting quite laggy. Not really sure why. Maybe I just have too much stuff running. I hope it's not the park. But yeah, I think this pair of coasters just looks super nice. Or maybe it's actually just one coaster that does 2 laps. Kind of looks like that. So it's one of those Mobius dueling coasters. But yeah, I think they're timed really nicely, and they have some really nice interaction here. Now here we also have one of these hybrid coasters. This one really looks like a lightning rod, but with the track painted red. But yeah, this park definitely has some really cool rides in it. Some really nice scenes. Also love this frisbee ride here. yeah, just really cool stuff. Alright, then now it's time to look at the final park, the other possible winner. And that one's made by... Which one was it again? Oh yeah. Enrico Dandolo, Kiffy, I probably butchered that name, and Robman. Together they created Kahuna Point. Once again, another one of these beautiful signs here. Especially this one is super nice. I love all the different colors on it. Now, parking lot. Here we have a self-parking car. We live in the future here. But yeah, when we zoom out, this park just looks incredible. Once again, some restraint was used here. The park isn't too big, and yeah, it's just surrounded by beautiful landscape. The park is just framed really nicely. Also, we have a pier extension here. Yeah, this just looks incredible. Yeah, let's just quickly go over some of the rides. So here we have this wooden coaster. I think it has a beautiful location here in the front of the park. It even acts as sort of the entrance gate, which I think is really cool. I also love how they did these flags using these signs. Pretty nicely done. So I have this little shed here where you can wait for the bus, I guess. Or someone, or you can wait for your mom to pick you up. Really a cool little Ferris wheel over here. Yeah, this just looks super clean for a shoestring Ferris wheel. Here we have a dueling single rail coaster. I once again love the color scheme here of this ride. Let's quickly speed it up a bit. And here they go. I think they interact with each other really nicely. Especially love this little scene here. Yeah, these dueling rides always look really nice in a title sequence. So I have a feeling we're gonna see this ride in it as well. Yeah, I think this park looks amazing. Also have this beautiful go-kart ride here. There's a beautiful little bridge here as well. Also, I love the station. Here we have... it kind of looks like one of these premiere launch rides. It's kind of like Icebreaker. Yeah, this ride looks awesome. Yeah, it's just situated here in this location where it's just really nice. So I love the foliage around it, the buildings. Here we have a little star flyer, which also looks super cool. Love the gradient in this tower. Here we have one of these sky screamers. Or screaming swings, I should say. And here we have the pier, also with one of these spinning coasters. And even more rides here on the pier. Yeah, what else can I say? I think this is just a beautiful park. Oh, I forgot to show one of the best parts of the park. There's this resort over here. And this building also just looks incredible. This is just some wonderful details here in this building. If you want to learn how to make some nice buildings in Rollercoaster Tycoon, go take a look at this building here. This just looks awesome. By the way, after this stream ends, I'm also going to put all these parks up on my website. You can find a link in the video description. And then you can also download all these entries for yourself if you haven't seen them yet. And yeah, I think it will be fun for you to go through these entries if you haven't checked them out yet. Alright, I think it's now time to reveal which one of these last two entries is the winner of this round. So, is it Kahuna Point from Enrico Dandolo, Kiffy, and Robman. Or is it the park from Genderman227, Michelle, and TechnoKiwi91? I will just quickly show it again for reference. So here was the other park, Bear Hollow Park. Alright, let me hear your predictions in the chat. Oh, it's Kiffy, sorry. I pronounced that wrong. Alright, I'll try to remember that for next time. Okay, let's show your predictions in the chat. Or who's the winner? Alright, I see a few predictions. Well, I won't keep you in tension much longer. The winner of the 2025 OpenRCT2 Title Sequence contest is Enrico Dandolo, Kiffy, and Robman. And let's check the scores. This park got a score of 8.89, which I think is really high. And the other team got a score of 8.53, which is also a pretty high score. Well, yeah, I think this was also the best park, so I'm glad to see it so high. But yeah, I think there were many nice parks in this contest. And there's definitely lots of nice scenes which we can use to create a title sequence from. So yeah, I want to thank everybody who sent in an entry for this contest. Thank you all for your amazing work. And yeah, you will soon see your entries back in the title sequence. And for the people whose entries are not gonna make it, there's always next year. Alright, that's going to be the end of this stream. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you again in the next one. See you later, guys.